My name is Leopold Munende. Welcome to the agenda where we speak about issues which affect our social, political and economic life as Zimbabweans. With me today is none other than Linda Masarira. I'm sure you know her. She is the president of LEAD, an opposition party in Zimbabwe. She was the MDCT spokesperson, the MDC led by Dr. Thokozani Kupe, and she's a human rights activist. Linda, welcome to the agenda.
Thank you very much for inviting me here.
How is LEAD, the opposition party?
Labour Economists and African Democrats LEAD is fine. We are growing and we are happy with how people mainly on the grassroots are accepting us and the message that we are preaching to them, the LEAD ideology which seeks to depolarize mindsets. We are trying to really move away from this two-party system that we have had for the past 20 years where we are not getting value for our votes. You will notice that for the past 20 years, instead of having development in most urban areas due to the main opposition party being the ones in charge of urban councils, we have seen service delivery deteriorating. We have seen blame games since 2000, and there is no real drive and political will to ensure development in Zimbabwe. We have just gotten to a stage where we're just seeing individuals contesting for power at the expense of service delivery, at the expense of development, and we've also seen citizens getting into the fight, getting angry on behalf of politicians to the extent that they cannot even fight for water. In Harare, I think most areas have gone without water for more than a year. But when you call for people to go and protest at city council, they'll tell you it's not MDC's fault, it's ZANU-PF's fault. What business is it of the voter to say it is this party's fault? Because when you go and cast your vote, you expect your councillor to make sure that bins are collected, water is coming out of your tap, and that there's sufficient service delivery.
Okay, but we have had alternative parties coming up. As you rightfully said, the MDC led by Nelson Chamisa is the main opposition party. We have had other opposition political parties coming up, but they have never had that kind of impact. Do you think Zimbabweans, per se, are ready for an alternative voice, which LEAD is offering, which Dr. Thokozani Kupe has offered, which Joyce Mujuru, the former vice president, offered, and which many others have offered, including the Twaga's Republic Party?
What I realized going back to the 2018 elections, most Zimbabweans don't know why they vote. The most common thing I had after people had voted is tofota kune chaunga. We have got a tragedy of politics of populism, politics of personalities, and that is what has destroyed Zimbabwe.
So Zimbabweans are not ready?
For us, we are making sure that Zimbabweans will get ready, because we are not a party that is promising to do things. We are doing things. And by the time we get to 2023, we will remind them that when we came to Chendambuya, this is what we did for you. When we came into Glenview, this is what we did for you. Because at the end of the day, politics is just not about blabbering at rallies, blabbering on newzimbabwe.com on social media. Politics is about delivering. Politics is about development. Politics is about ensuring who gets what, when, how, and making sure that the people of Zimbabwe have got equitable distribution of land. But as long as we keep on reducing politics to power contestations, we are doing a great injustice to the future of Zimbabwe. We are doing a great injustice to our children and grandchildren. And we need the alternative. And the alternative that is there right now is LEAD, because we are speaking to the aspirations of the young people, those who are in tertiary institutions, the ones who are growing up, who need a legacy. We cannot keep on destroying the future because we want to continue with a two-party system which has evidently failed in the past 20 years.
What is the difference between LEAD and MDCT led by Dr. Thokozani Kupe?
The difference between LEAD and MDC led by Dr. Thokozani Kupe is LEAD stands for the workers. We are working with various trade unions, which were also part of the formation of LEAD, having realized that the workers' struggle has been destroyed over the years. And we have had lawyers taking over MDC. If you find that in most MDC structures, we no longer have representatives from trade unions, but in the lead executive, we've got at least 6 people from the trade unions. Our Vice President, Patrick Ndlovu, is the Secretary General of Commercial Workers Union. We want to restore the pride and dignity of workers who are still formally employed. We want to ensure that workers in the informal sector will be able to grow their businesses from micro to macro, to actually be big companies or multinational companies. It is possible where there is a political will, where there is a will to ensure that we open Zimbabwe for business for Zimbabweans.
And then I'm sure you'll be very much used to the next question I'm going to ask. You are one of, I don't know if I can say a victim, I don't know how you feel about it on social media.
I'm not a victim, I'm a victor.
Okay. You have been attacked on social media by, yes, let me just say, main opposition political supporters as someone who seemingly opposes the MDC much more than the ruling ZANU-PF. What would you say to that?
What would I say about that? First and foremost, led by economists and African Democrats, LEAD, was not created to buttress any other political party. We exist to run the LEAD agenda. We do not exist to run the MDC agenda. They are our opponent. We don't exist to run the ZANU-PF agenda. They are our opponent. What we do is, when there is anything progressive that has come from either party, we will support. We will support anything that is progressive, that will take Zimbabwe forward, from either ZANU-PF or MDC. Because what is important is to develop Zimbabwe. Not the scenario that we have in Zimbabwe where people go into parliament to chant slogans, to sing slogans about their leaders at the expense of the voter. We cannot continue with Zimbabwe like that. And when you say you are driving a change agenda and doing the exact opposite, you want me to clap hands for you and say, no, MDC, you are doing a good job of opposing everything that is positive because you want to create a picture that everything is bad in this country. We also have good things happening in this country. And as political parties, we have to have the discipline to ensure that we paint a good picture about our country. We push for good governance. And we can only do that when we are taking the ruling party on the table and saying, guys, apa murukuresha.
Okay, and then before we go very far, tell me a few good things which the opposition has done.
I haven't seen any good thing they've done since after the 2018 elections. There's nothing good that they've done. Unless maybe if there's anyone who sees anything good that they've done.
And then you can, maybe ZANU-PF, the good things which they've done.
Which they've done. They are making sure that we are using our own local currency. Because as long as we are not using the local currency, contrary to what everyone believes that we need to dollarize Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe will not progress. We will not have economic growth when you are using US dollar. We will not go anywhere whilst we are using our own currency. ZANU-PF is trying to ensure that they reunite Zimbabweans. But because MDC has got this godfather mentality that we will not unite under any circumstance, the president is illegitimate. If the president is illegitimate, what are they doing in parliament? Why are they part of government which is led by an illegitimate president? We cannot continue taking the country backwards because some people have got overinflated egos. If Hillary Clinton had done the same, knowing that she was rigged by Trump, would America be moving forward? She said, for the benefit of the people of America, I accept whatever result is there, and I will work with the government to ensure that the people of America get the governance that they want. That is the spirit of elections. Not going very far away, right here in Kenya. People had to swallow their pride. After a lot of people had died and said, okay, we have been fighting, people have died, but let's get Kenya functioning. That is what most Zimbabweans expect to see from Nelson Chamisa, to swallow his pride and say, no, President Mnangagwa, I have said enough is enough. How can we work together to develop Zimbabwe, to ensure that water is running out of the taps, to ensure that roads are restored, to deal with the corruption issue? Because so long you're not in power, you will just be backing, and there's nothing that will come out of the backing.
My next question will be around issues of dialogue. What is your view on the political leaders and electors dialogue?
In terms of what?
Is it the right platform to be, is it necessary? That is the first question. And then is it the right platform? Is it rightfully constituted? And would you, if invited, would you be willing to take part?
The political actors dialogue, from my understanding, is a dialogue of presidential candidates who participated in the 2018 elections. And everyone who participated in the 2018 elections was invited to be part of Pollard. And we have to be clear. In any election or any race, there is a winner and a loser. Whether you are number 2, you can't say to the people, no, I was supposed to have that trophy because I was late with 2 seconds. You can't do that. When you lose an election, you have lost. Yes, you can try to speak about numbers or everything, but you have lost. And when the platform has been created for everyone to come and converge and put their ideas, if whatever you're doing is for the benefit of the people of Zimbabwe, you definitely have to partake and be on the table and push for what you think is right for the people who voted for you. But the moment you want to alienate yourself from a platform that has been created to develop Zimbabwe, how are you going to assist those people who voted for you to get the quality service delivery that you're crying for? I think some of these issues that we are crying about, water, MDC, by virtue of running the urban councils in Zimbabwe, are supposed to be there in Pollard and pushing and running the committee on what? On urban councils. But the moment you're going to be behind the scenes saying that I will not be part of this, I want my own dialogue, you are going into the demigodism mentality, the Mugabe mentality that it has to be me. At the end of the day, if you're called on board and every political actor who was on the ballot paper is there, also be there and represent your people. Because what is important is to finding ways to develop Zimbabwe. And if you don't want to be part of that development, which Zimbabwe do you want to develop and who is running that Zimbabwe? Because we're not going to be having foreigners developing Zimbabwe.
So basically you're saying that Pollard is rightfully constituted and it is the perfect platform for them.
From my understanding, with how they created it and the purposes they created it. And they created it for presidential candidates who ran in 2018 elections.
And then what would you say about Nelson Chamisa's view that a contestant cannot call other contestants to what he calls a dialogue when he is some sort
Point of correction. President Mnangagwa is not a contestant. He's the president of this country.
He was a contestant.
But right now he is the president of this country.
They are also no longer contestants because the elections are last.
Exactly.
So,
and he called people who were his running mates in 2018 and said, let's converge and find a way forward for Zimbabwe collectively.
Nelson Chamisa is saying a dialogue series or session should be called for by an independent institution, individual, arbitrator, something like that.
What do we need an arbitrator for? I'm asking you a question. What do we need an arbitrator for?
In this light, because I'm a journalist,
yes.
I will use answers which we were given by politicians.
Yes.
Nelson Chamisa himself has questioned the legitimacy of President Emerson Mnangagwa. You have said it.
He lost the case in the Constitutional Court of Zimbabwe, and it's no longer an issue.
Yes.
We cannot keep on talking about an issue. Nelson Chamisa himself is a lawyer.
Yes, he is.
He lost the case.
Nelson Chamisa has moved the issue from the courts, like he said, to the court of public opinion. And he always says that I lead the people. The courts.
Which people?
He talks of his.
Which people?
I'm quoting him.
The majority of the people of Zimbabwe stay in rural areas. 70% of the people who vote reside in rural areas.
So
they are not on social media. They are not on social media.
So we disregard the 2.6.
Who is the 2.6? Where did they get the 2.6 figure?
What are the 2.2?
Because the figure that is
exactly
exact.
the 2.2.
Yes.
So we disregard.
What are we supposed to disregard?
No, I'm saying his views. Do we say if he wants an independent convener?
For what?
Then we should just let him be.
The president of this country has said he is not negotiating in any platform outside Pollard.
Because you know what we must realize. Nelson Chamisa, Nkosana Moyo, and I'm going to put aside Mteki. Mteki recently rejoined ZANU-PF. Most of the presidential candidates within Pollard got less than 0.9% of the presidential vote last year, does that not affect the credibility? Who are they representing? That is the question.
The people that voted for them.
The 0.9.
Yes.
And
And Nelson Chamisa was also invited to represent his 2.2 million, and he said he doesn't want. So that is false.
So how effective will Pollard be?
Why will it not be effective?
No,
I will not discuss, because I don't know what Pollard is discussing right now. And I'm not the right person to be speaking on behalf of Pollard. I think the issue to do with Pollard, the issue to do with Pollard would be best answered by those who are attending Pollard sessions and who know what they are discussing. If I'm going to be talking of their credibility or whatever they are doing, I will be slandering or misrepresenting their issues.
You are not an ordinary person. You are the president of a political party.
Yes.
You are one of maybe the leading political actors in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
You have been for quite some time.
Yes.
Which means you have an opinion on most of these issues. Not, of course, not all of them, but most of these things. When you talk of Pollard, we want to know what you think as the president of Fleet and what you think as an individual, as a Zimbabwean.
I have told you what I think. Mr. Nelson Chamisa, if he wants to represent his people, he should go and join other political actors who were presidential candidates in 2018 elections. Then he will have the platform to push what he's supposed to push for the people who voted for him. Because as long as you are not at Munumutapa building, you don't have power. And we have to agree on that. The person who has power right now is President Emmerson Mnangagwa, by virtue of being the president of this country. You can run all over the show like a headless chicken and say whatever you are saying. But as long as you are not the face of this country, which is Mr. Mnangagwa, people will just watch you and laugh at you. And at the end of the day, you think that you are doing a great job until 5 years is done. And by the time we get to 2023, you will be tired. What is important? And my message to Mr. Chamisa is swallow your pride. Represent the 2.2 million people that voted for you. Make sure that you develop their communities. Show your leadership qualities. Instead of going around saying, Ndakasunga one, Ndakasunga dozen, don't come and help Zimbabwe. If I was Chamisa, I would have gone to those people and say, please, can you partner with me and be my development partners and make sure that Harare has clean, safe, and potable water. Please come and go to Dangamvura and help us get roads there. Because they're the ones running the council. But you want to pride yourself in underdeveloping Zimbabwe. For me, that is not a quality of a leader who cares about the people who voted for him.
Let's then move on to sanctions. You've already brought up the issue. You have said they've called for sanctions. They've said they've never called for sanctions. America itself says they are not sanctions. And then we hear that they are restrictive measures targeted at individuals who have disregarded human rights, property rights, and things like that. You have said they are calling for human rights, but they dispute that totally.
Okay. If these Americans say their sanctions are targeted, I think the target was missed. Because those who they purport the sanctions are targeted to, they don't have a problem. They are living their lavish lifestyles. They are enjoying their lives, getting treated in whatever country in the world. From what I know, these sanctions have affected trade in Zimbabwe. They've closed lines for loans for infrastructural development. They've inhibited a lot of other people who are not even targeted to access some other opportunities in other countries. And these are realities. At the end of the day, I think one question we should be asking ourselves is, when you sanction a head of state, when you sanction parastatals, when you sanction critical businesses in a country, is it not the same as sanctioning a nation?
Okay.
Wait, I'm going forward. And going ahead, why would a nation that is sanctioning Zimbabwe also want to come in and aid Zimbabwe? What is your point of saying at one point you have come in and instilled economic warfare in Zimbabwe? That is basically what sanctions have done. They killed our local currency. After killing our local currency, they wanted us to use their US dollar. They come again, they take their US dollar. If we look at it deeply, who is running the black market? Some big companies. They are responsible for the rates that we have in the black market, and some politicians. And those are effects of sanctions. Sanctions will make sure that the economy is not stable, people are divided, and they'll also come and divide people in different political parties so that they run their agenda. We saw this in Venezuela, we saw this in Libya, we saw this in Singapore. What Zimbabwe has to do, beyond our crying out about sanctions, we need to come up with sanction-busting measures. We need to start producing and make sure that we create our own money in Zimbabwe. We are not going to build Zimbabwe by foreign direct investment. We have to ensure that we create our own investment opportunities in Zimbabwe. We've got a lot of Zimbabweans in the diaspora. We can help develop Zimbabwe, but they are not being given an opportunity because unfortunately our president is still looking for investors from other countries. The moment the president of this country starts ensuring that every young person and everyone who's unemployed gets an opportunity to mine, to farm, and to produce, the moment we start producing, we're going to open our industries, we are going to move Zimbabwe forward. We are not going to move Zimbabwe by calling for other people to come and assist us with our problems. The Zimbabwean problem will be fixed by a Zimbabwean who wants to see a better Zimbabwe. So what I'm saying here is your question on sanctions, on who asked for sanctions and who didn't ask for sanctions. We've got the videos on social media. That is not a thing that we can debate about. We've got videos of Mr. Tsvangirai asking for sanctions. We've got interviews of Chamisa and BT saying the sanctions should actually be stiffened. For who? To benefit who? At the end of the day, if we all love Zimbabwe, and the people of Zimbabwe, as political actors, we have to put Zimbabweans first and stop any act or practice or conversation that will compromise the quality of lifestyles for Zimbabweans.
And then what would you say if I were to say the European Union market has always been opened despite sanctions, and also that China has always been open as a market with us under sanctions, and so has the whole of Africa? Because mainly America and maybe to a certain extent the UK, but can we say trade has been hampered because Zimbabwe cannot trade with two countries when there is the world's fastest growing economy, much willing to help us as you politicians say, our all-weather friends, China, the Middle East, even the whole of Asia in fact, and the whole of Africa. Europe, if you talk to the EU ambassador, Timo O'Connor, he'll tell you that they opened the market way back in the mid-2000s. But the sanctions issue... They
opened their market, yet they also sanctioned Zimbabwe. Isn't that an oxymoron?
The debt, when we talk,
yes.
when we talk about the debt, Linda, ndikakupereka $5 yangu andati ndipe mangwana. Obva wati unondipa mangwana. Mangwana oya wotandi na mari ya $5 ndine dola. Ndatola obva wati ndikumbura imwe $5 ndokupa. And then because you have to $20 ndokupa. That is the situation in Zimbabwe now. We had incurred so much debt with the IMF, with the World Bank. But we still wanted, for us to develop, we have to access those funds.
You know, the funny part is we are more concerned about the debt other than our resources that are being looted on a daily basis from Zimbabwe. No, I'm getting to where you're going. I want to tell you something that is very interesting, that some of these debts that we end up hearing is not being cleared. They are actually paid off with our gold. And
illegally or legally?
I don't know, but this is very reported in political circles. And we should also understand and appreciate that Zimbabwe in 1980 also inherited Smith's debts, which America and Britain had promised to pay back and never did. And those debts were set aside. And that date, if I'm not wrong about the figures, was about 800,000 US that time, which has now accumulated as of last year. It was now about 2.3 billion. And we are still being held at a ransom for that Smith's debt. What did the ESAB do to Zimbabwe? The Bretton Woods institutions will make sure that they come up with their programs, their bookish economics that do not work in Africa. And they'll keep you hinged on in debt. Why was Bretton Woods institutions giving Zimbabwe money over and over again, yet there were monies that were not being repaid? For all I know, the World Bank, IMF, and African Development Bank will never come and give money without checks and balances. They will come and check, they will come and account. They were giving each other that money on what pretext? the government of Zimbabwe has never told us what they did with the loans. And I won't be drawn to start saying this debt was paid or it was not paid. What I would be asking as a political actor is the debt that they were taking, what did they do? And when we realized that nothing was done, and I think this is an issue for ZAC, they have to make sure that they investigate what these so-called debts were used for. Then we can come in and start demanding accountability. Because at the end of the day, we keep on barking about issues that we do not know of. We do not even know what the loans from China are being used for. One day we can wake up and be told that we are now all slaves to the Chinese. So we have to demand accountability. We need to know the terms and conditions of the deals that the government of Zimbabwe signs with any other country, because they take these loans in the pretext of development, and we haven't seen any development.
Linda, you say that ASAP negatively affected Zimbabwe and the IMF and all, they kept on giving us money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I understand that. But is that not an excuse we expect, especially in Africa, we are not fools, Linda. If I offer you a deal, I trust that you can analyze that deal and come up with a position which will benefit, if it is lead, it will benefit lead. If our government accepted the terms given by ASAP, should we not at least say our government aid instead of saying these institutions, financial institutions?
Why would we say that our government aid?
Because they are the ones who accepted the deal. If, for example, like you are saying, if our minerals have been used to pay off the debts, and it will negatively affect our country, should we say, for example, should we say China did this, or should we say our own leadership accepted our plundering?
I will respond to you on the full issue that you said. The Minister of Higher Education and Tertiary Education recently issued a statement that our education is creating fools. Because at the end of the day, if you've been given a program which did not work, or which you failed to implement, where would you go and partake in another program? And those people who keep on giving them money, yet they've got other monies that they're owing, they are the fools.
And then last two questions. Are we in a better off situation as compared to when we were under the late President Robert Mugabe?
In terms of freedoms, I think we are in a better off space. And in terms of the economy, I also think we are in a better off space. Our local currency has maintained the 16, 17, 18 against the US dollar since about October last year. And contrary to what most people say, I think that is the range that is around Southern Africa of the exchange rate to the USD. And I think we've done very well in that aspect. What needs to be worked on is the salaries. They have to be commensurate with the exchange rate that we have, so that there is a balance. Because if you're looking at your shopping basket right now, if you convert it to the US dollar, you are actually now buying more than what you used to buy in the US dollar value during the 1:1 days. So what we need to be doing with activists, with other political parties, is to push government to ensure that salaries are also pegged in line with the bank rate, so that people will be able to break even. But as long as we do not have salaries that are commensurate with the new exchange rates that we have and the economic stability that we've been seeing on the official bank rate, we will still have a problem of people failing to sustain their families. But I think on the economic front, we've been doing well, though we've been having a lot of challenges on the black market. But when it comes to the economy, I think Professor Mtuli is trying.
He's trying?
Yes.
That's the first. Thank you so much. And then my last kick. Linda, you have accused the Movement for Democratic Change of having trained youth, paramilitary, I wouldn't say military, well, I don't know. But you have never named them. You have never told us where. We want to know. You know, we are newsmen. We'll be itching for these kind of details.
Which kind of details?
The details where they were trained, why they were trained, when they were trained, who trained them, those kind of things. Maybe you can tell our viewers.
First and foremost, I'll answer your question. It seems this interview was more of an MDC interview. You know why? Secondly, no, I'm going forward. I don't have a problem with that, but I just want to tell you that in the future, when you call me for an interview, I don't want to be talking about MDC. I want to be talking about lead. And I hope this will be the last interview that I'm going to be doing talking about MDC. And I'm also sending this message to any other media house that after this interview, I'm never going to be talking about MDC again, because I've got my own party to build, and to sell, I have to be selling the lead ideology. Secondly, it is not a secret. Ask MDC leadership, ask Denford Ngaidzore, ask Ostalo Gift Siziva, ask Pride Mukono, ask Abigail Mupambi, there are a lot of people who attended these trainings in Cape Town and Livingstone. It's not a secret. They know what they were doing there. I do not speak of things that I don't have knowledge and proof about. The first training that happened in Cape Town in 2018, I was actually one of the persons who was supposed to go there, and I had actually received the ticket to attend that workshop training or whatever it was called, that was supposed to be done somewhere in the Cape whatever forest. That ticket was withdrawn when I showed my intentions that I was going to join the Thokozani Kupe camp. These people were taught to do what is called covert operations. You remember that time when we were having fires that were just going on per day, maybe 3 or 4 fires? When I called people to order, those fires stopped that day. 1 August, most of those people had softwares on their phones, communicating with Soren or Popovic, whatever his name is, with their phones being told to do this, do that. And if I'm lying, I'm challenging them to come, and we have a meeting here, that they were not being battery operated by a foreigner. It is a fact, and I do not support any acts of sabotage or terrorism in this country. If we care for the people of this country, let's put our heads together on developmental issues. Wondo inakunaga. Wondo inouraya innocent people. We cannot destroy people's livelihoods for power. What have the demonstrations that were called by MDC done over the past 2 years? They destroyed people's businesses. I destroy. Munhu iye anomuka mangwana ane stress akutadza kuraramisa mhuri yake. Munhu amuri kurwira anogara kuAmnesdale. Ane mabhoho, ane zvese. Let's stop this antagonism. Let's stop this fight. And let's start putting our heads together to build Zimbabwe. That is what we need to do as Zimbabweans. Anyone who wants to challenge me, they've never challenged this accusation. Like you have said, I accused. I want anyone who says that Linda Masarira is lying, that we did not get any training, to call you direct and say we did not get it, and you call them and you come and sit here in front of the cameras and we talk about the issue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Linda Masarira, a firebrand political activist. And like you heard, Anzi, this is the last time I'll talk of the MDC. I'm now supposed to push the lead agenda. My name is Leopold Munende. You have been on the agenda on a Monday afternoon. So please do log on to our website, www.newzimbabwe.com. We will be uploading 1 or 2 stories we have been given by Linda on this interview. Also follow us on Twitter at News.